Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Monday. I hope you had a good weekend. You know, we had some rain in the Valley of the Sun, which we always enjoy here. Not enough of it, but we'll take everything that we can get our hands on. Unfortunately, we got some bad news, I guess, on the Iranian war front. Looked like maybe we were going to get some good news as bombing continued all weekend. The infrastructure targets are starting to mount as the Iranians are hitting infrastructure in other countries. We're hitting their infrastructure. Then there was talk of, maybe we could... I don't know, come up with a deal or something, back to this stuff, deal, no deal thing. And then all of a sudden, it kind of went the other way as the Houthis, remember them from Yemen, they're back. And now they're throwing up their own blockade. Yes, it's blockade on a blockade of a blockade, followed by another blockade. They're imposing a new embargo against Saudi Arabia after Saudi Arabia had launched attacks on Yemen, saying that all Saudi shipping, effective immediately, will be subject for an eye for an eye. What that looks like, I am not sure, but it is one more thing to throw out there. The biggest issue now is that's the one place through the strait there in Yemen where Saudi Arabia could potentially get its oil out. I don't know, right? We'll wait and see. But you know what? That's the bad news. I do have some good news, really good news. Obviously, on the crypto side, right, our Orem positions keep working extremely well. We're very happy with those. And then on the Texas Iskander side, big stuff. I will say this. I hope your guys are go on the exchange, add a few coins. Add a few coins, buy a few coins. I'm doing it. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. Here's what's happened. The mine, as you guys know, we've been waiting. Where's the big expansion? It is here. So we spent most of last week as we were getting all the miners up and running. We decided, and I think rightfully so, to upgrade all of the mines so they can work even more efficiently. That work has been completed. We are now hashing, depending on the minute, around 18 to 19 terahash or 18 to 19 million megahash. As you know, we've sold 23 million. We did get an update on Victoria. That's the one mine we're waiting on, one piece of equipment that, apparently you got to wait a long time for. We did get an update. Looks like September Victoria will come online. And when that happens, we'll actually be hashing at more than what we've sold. Of course, you guys knew that. But what's the good news about that? Well, as of this morning, we are now the 7th largest miner of Light and Dogecoin in the world. So one more thing for the world to notice. Of course, we want to be a whole lot bigger. How about the biggest, right? That'd be kind of cool, right? So more and more progress continuing to happen. 800-951-0592. That is our toll-free number. And again, I think most of the fear now is if this doesn't get better, talking about the Iranian front, what is going to happen to oil? Right now, oil has skyrocketed back up. It's in the, it's been as high as 90. NYMEX crude right now, 82, 83. Brent, 88. Unfortunately, gas and heating oil, diesel fuels higher today. We're out of extra stuff, I guess, is the way to put it. So we'll see what happens. As long as it stays where it's at, I think we're okay. If Saudi Arabia starts having problems, then things are going to look awfully tough. 2 more ships got attacked today in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has taken credit for that, and on the passage that the U.S. said to use. So we'll see. And then, but apparently a suspect has been apprehended trying to deploy a bomb in New York City. We'll probably talk about that next.
Welcome back. The Patriot Radio News Hour. Jason and Joe. The number to call is 800-951-0592. We've been telling you guys in 2026, of course, gold and silver had that spike at the beginning of the year, and then it's come back. And then in this position where it's come back, it's really a great time to be buying gold and silver. Could gold and silver go down a little bit? Yeah. Could it go up? Absolutely. And over a long enough period of time, gold will have to go up, simply because it's 1-to-1 with other items. Fine tailored men's suit and an ounce of gold are the same. A whole living cow and an ounce of gold has got the same value for hundreds of years. And so gold and silver spiked January, February, it came back pretty fast. Great time to buy, because even if it goes down temporarily and comes back up, or if it just goes back up, you're in a great buying opportunity. I know some people that were buying as silver was 70 and 80 and 90 and 100 and 110, and I know some people that are buying gold at 5,000, 5,200, and I get it, because we don't really know where those prices were headed, and they settled down, and here we are. Gold's just sitting there, like, looking around. It's like, where are you at? Where are you at? I'm ready to be bought. and as I said, it doesn't really matter if it goes down a little bit before it comes back up, because you're never going to time it. You're never going to time it the way that you want it to be. And but if you buy, this is where the metals program people are really good. This is where the guys that buy a little bit at a time are really good. They just buy a little bit here, buy a little bit there. Some people call it cost averaging. What it is, to me, is savings. Gold and silver, I don't like using the word investment when it comes to gold and silver. It doesn't really operate the same way as an investment does. I call it savings. When it comes to savings, you put a little away. You got a little extra, you put it away. You get a little extra, you put it away. And then when you have generally one of two situations when you have savings. You have an emergency that you didn't count on. Where are you going to get the money? You cash your savings in. Oh, wait a minute. It doesn't affect my monthly finances because I had it sitting there. The other situation is my daughter's getting married. I need some money for the wedding. I got to celebrate. Someone's graduating college. I want to help my grandson buy a house. Get a down payment, and that's what you cash your savings in for that as well. And Joe, as you were getting your internet set, Joe, I was telling everybody, it's like this is such a good time to be buying gold, because we had that spike and nobody knew for sure how fast it was going to keep going or how high it was going to keep going, and it's settled back here. And I was telling the audience show, it could go back further. Who knows? It could go back. Who knows? Maybe silver goes down to 45. I don't know. Maybe gold goes to 3,200. But it's not going to be there very long. It's just not. We have inflative forces that are pushing hard, and the fact that any of you that didn't buy as it crested and spiked earlier this year, and now it's sitting where it's at. It's like somebody on a desert island. I feel like gold's on a desert island screaming to be picked up, and nobody wants to just go over there and grab it. That's how I feel like gold is right now. It's screaming to be picked up and rescued and put into your portfolio, and you're just chugging along by that island. It's like, I don't need that cheap gold. And it is cheap. This is a cheap price. Things are going to get wacky, guys. Right? It's going to get wacky, and you guys are that may have the means to buy some now. What are you doing? Right, Joe? What are you doing not putting a little more away at essentially what might be a discounted price?
Yeah, and I think that's the right word, discounted. Why? Well, we got funny stuff happening in the world, right? We've got this whole situation in Iran, as an example, that just leads to people doing things that wouldn't normally happen in the marketplace. We have, like Jason said, this inflation. But we got a new head of the Federal Reserve, right? That's something. Let's face it, we don't get that very often, right? And of course, right, he wants to immediately come out and tell you how he's going to be a champion for your money, even though we know the central bank really is the biggest thief, maybe of all time. Well, not maybe. They're the biggest thief of all time. It is truly amazing how we don't want to place the blame of what ails us at the feet of the bankers. And why don't we want to? Well, they bought their way in. Let's not forget, go through history, what they did in Jekyll Island, Georgia, where they hatched the plan very smartly, very quietly. Why? Why quietly? Why do it? And think about what they did. Not only did they get there, because let's face it, early 1900s. It's not like you went to the airport, got on a plane, and flew to Jekyll Island, Georgia. No. It's not like you even got in a car and drove down the interstate. You had to go on train. Right? And they very, almost like a private CIA operation was going on, where nobody even knew that they were in the train and on the train. Then at the resort, they gave everybody that worked there, hey, guess what? You're off this week. What? Yep. Resort's closed. Everybody go home. There's nothing to see here. And again, like I said, they knew. Man, we gotta.
And they were all agents for more important men, right, Joe? They weren't the men. Right. They were the agents for the more important men.
And absolutely, right? Absolutely. And you had all of the agents represented at this establishment. Matter of fact, it wasn't until, Cuded Lieb, who most of us didn't even know because they kind of got bought up in the 70s by who? A company called Lehman Brothers. You may have heard of them. And guess what? The powers that be weren't very happy about that. But when you think about who was there, right? People that represented what we now know as J.P. Morgan Chase. People that represented, as we now know, as Citigroup, as Bank of America, and Wells Fargo. Interesting. Huh. Think about that. 100 plus years later, and they're the biggest banks we've got. And they were all being represented down in Jekyll Island. And the one that didn't make it, that people got mad because Lehman Brothers outbid them all, no longer is in business. I don't know. Right? Just coincidence. Oh, nothing to see. Nothing to see. And you got to give them credit because they were smart. How did they do it? How did they get away with it? They bought Congress. What do you mean they bought Congress? See, they weren't dumb. They didn't buy it with, hey, here's a bunch of, hey, Bill, here you go. Here's a bunch of money. And this guy, here's a bunch. No, they were smarter than that. We're going to hand pick. So we're going to ensure that we have enough people in the House, enough people in the Senate that are going to vote us back in. And that's exactly what they did. And guess what? This time, you know what's funny? Is the first two times, because we had a central bank, people don't want, again, no one wants to teach this stuff. Twice before this central bank, twice, they got 20-year charge. Okay, we'll give you a shot for 20 years. Both times after 20 years, they were like, nah. You know what they got rid of the third time around? The 20 years. Yeah. And isn't it funny? 1913, 20 years would have been 1933. How many of you want to bet we would have gotten rid of them a third time?
Yeah, and the Rothschilds got smart because the first two 20-year charters, that was beholden to the European central banks. It was the first bank in the United States and the second bank in the United States. With the Federal Reserve, they figured, okay, all right, we got to have somebody in America be a part of this because we can't really control it from Europe as well. Because every time we do something, Andrew Jackson pops up and destroys it. So that's when J.P. Morgan and Rothschild and some of these big guys entered into the Jekyll Island meeting. Okay, you will be the guys in America, we will be the guys in Europe. And they did away with the 20-year charter because they didn't have to, because now there was interested American parties that wanted to be a part of the club, right, Joe?
Right. They very smartly said, well, like Jason said, okay, we'll throw you a bone. We'll throw you a bone, and so now you can get rid of the 20-year charter. And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. And, of course, you fast forward to today. Like I said, Jason was talking about how gold's on sale here. And the reason why we know it's on sale is because gold's not reacting to anything normal. Right now, all of the markets are reacting to what? Oh, war news and inflation. Oh wait, we got fiat money problems. We got fiat money problems in Japan. We've got stock bubbles all over the place. China and South Korea, most of Asia may already be in recession.
Bad recession.
And, of course, right, we've got the new head of the Fed who's promising you, no, I'm not going to let inflation live. Don't worry. I don't know. This may get really ugly. I hope. Well, we know the system. What's going to happen? Boom and bust, boom and bust, boom and bust. That's not the system we created. That's the system they created. That's the system. Right? They decided this. How did they decide it? Well, in the bad times, we're going to print more money. Okay? Right? Because that's the problem. Right? If the Great Depression would have never have happened if the banks had printed a bunch of money. And, of course, they promised, don't worry, we'll pay it back during the, quote, good times. Well, look at where we're at today. We just keep printing the money. In the good times, we've decided to print even more money.
Yes, man.
800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Monday. We're talking about how did we get into this mess to begin with, and why it's such a great time to be adding to your portfolios. But very quickly, let's take a quick look at the markets here. The Dow is down. It's not a lot, down 110. The S&P's up 20. The Nasdaq's up 180. The 10-year note now 4.59. Things were looking better this morning because they were going to do the, maybe we can have a ceasefire. And then the whole Yemen thing came online here. Oil is right now flat. So it was down. Now it's come back to pretty much dead even. 82.50 on the NYMEX, $88 on Brent. Gold, kind of the same thing, just kind of flat, right? Down $5, 4,015. The one thing not flat, silver. Man, I wish you guys had bought silver the other day. It was down at $55. It's now $57. It's a $40 price increase, on 20 ounces. So we do have, tell you what, I have 10 rolls of Silver Eagles, and I may only have 9 now. They're $13.15. I'll do them at $12.95. $12.95. However many Sarah says we have left, that's all we have at 800-951-0592. So essentially you can pretend like today hasn't happened and go back to buying it on Friday. $1,295, 800-951-0592. I will tell you there was an incendiary device that was set off outside the Manhattan Federal Building. We'll talk about that. Someone's been arrested. Doesn't appear to be, anything quite earth-shattering, right? I don't think the building's going to fall down and anything like that. Matter of fact, I don't even know that there were any injuries, but we will be talking about that. But Jason, it is really fascinating when you think about how powerful the banking industry has been for hundreds of years now, right? They just always seem to be a step ahead, right? And of course, we always talk about this, right? History is written by the winners. And when you look at history, think about everything you ever learned about the Boston Tea Party, right? Right? That's a great example of what that really was about versus what they tell you in the history books, right? It had very little to do with tea, and it had everything to do with, taxes and fiat money and the crown, England, essentially playing a trick on the colonists. And it's really shaped how the colonists viewed money and why they wrote the Constitution the way they did, at least when it comes to money. See, they decided, the crown decided, you know what? We don't want you buying and selling with gold and silver. No. We want you to give us your gold and silver, And in return, we're going to give you paper script. Think about it. The precursor, if you will, to the Federal Reserve note. It was a piece of paper that said, hey, this is worth, right, an ounce of silver, or this is worth an ounce of gold, or whatever, right? It gave it value. Well, that was all well and good. So the colonists, okay, well, I guess if that's the rules and I need to, sell my stuff and buy stuff, okay. Well, then the crown, see, they did something really evil. They deliberately created, I don't even know, millions, I don't know, overwhelming amounts of fake script that flooded the colonies to the point where they decided, you know what, we can't tell the real from the fake. It's now worthless, right? And you got to go back to gold and silver. And, of course, the colonists were like, wait a minute, we gave you all our gold and silver. Now think about today. What are they doing? They're flooding the world with paper script. Think about how many weeks I go, well, this week the Treasury had to sell $720 billion worth of debt. And we talk about why does the Chinese not want to buy our debt? I mean, think about it. We're giving them 4 or 5%. Right? I mean, it's not like we're giving them, I could understand. Don't buy our debt like in 2013, 2014, 2015, right? Remember, what were you getting? Like 0.5%, 0.25%? The Japanese, they just said, we're just going to go negative. Yeah. Tell you what. You give us 1 million yen, and when the note reaches maturity, we'll give you 999,000. Call it good. Yeah. They don't want it. Why? Because they made so much of it, it keeps losing value. And now, the new great plan from the new great head of the Federal Reserve is to do what? Let's create a task force. For what? Well, this stinking inflation number is just too dang high. Let's figure out a way to make it lower. Well, I know how to make it lower. Stop printing the money. Nah, we can't do that. Yeah, I hope you get your bag of money and get some gold. We'll be back. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on, what is today? Monday. Yeah, on this Monday. Gosh, Monday already. It comes too soon, doesn't it? It comes too soon. $10 liberties today. We had them, what? I want to say it was $21.50 the other day. Tell you what, $21.45. $21.45 on $10 liberties. Well, you know what? Nah, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Let's do better. $2,100. $2,100 on $10 liberties today at 800-951-0592 on top of the few remaining rolls of Silver Eagles at $21.95. $21.95. That's $20 off on Silver Eagles as silver bounced off $55 on Friday and finished, almost 56. Now it's almost 57 today. So keep adding here, 800-951-0592. 0592. But yeah, Jason, it's the same thing that they've been doing since they got back into power. The same thing that they've done everywhere they've been for hundreds of years, right? It's always been the same playbook. Print more money and, let us charge you interest to borrow the money on top of it. I mean, it's a great plan.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? We're going to charge the government interest, and we're going to charge the citizenry and essentially rob them with inflation.
Rothschild learned very early on as he became a banker that the loans that get paid back most reliably are government loans. And so he figured out how to become important to government. And so his loans were always guaranteed because I'll always borrow or print or make or bring more gold and hand it to him to pay off what they owe him for, lending money into their system. And so we could do this whole thing without the Federal Reserve. We don't need a central bank. We don't need these guys. It's a bunch of fat cats that are massively wealthy, corporatist owners of society. And we could just have the Treasury print it. I mean, yeah, it'd be fiat. But at least if the Treasury printed it and if they were in control of it, we wouldn't pay interest on it. There goes $1 trillion off the yearly budget. Take $1 trillion right off the budget.
Just $1 trillion.
$1 trillion a year just by eliminating the bankers. And then guess what? If we have a bad depression, recession because there's not enough money being printed, or if we have inflation because too much money is being printed, we could actually, as the voters, actually have a choice. You could say, oh, well, they inflated it and made life too hard, so I'm going to vote some new guys in. We'd actually have an opportunity to maybe run the government. But the central bankers took that choice. They buy every single candidate. We don't have a chance. Now, if they didn't buy every candidate, they would still try to buy every candidate if we took out their central bank. But it wouldn't be long before you'd start getting the Thomas Masses of the world elected in there. They start coming in. The Ron Pauls and the real the real hard money guys that really want to make it better. And then they would get better. If Germany could be completely destroyed after World War I and be ruthlessly controlled by bankers, and when they break away from the bankers in 4 short years, rebuild the entire country. And during the depression of the world is in 1933, in the midst of a massive depression, Germany was growing and prospering at untold levels. They did one thing, whether you like Germany, the National Socialists, or whether you don't like it, whatever your opinion of them and what you learned about history, nobody refutes. They eliminated the central bank, and they grew out of control and were hugely prosperous. Yeah. Makes you wonder if that's the Venezuela-Iran of the 1930s. Is that what we were looking at? That's how I look at it, Joe.
It's interesting times. Like we said, true price discovery is being hidden. They hide it with rhetoric, right? They hide it with propaganda. Let me ask you. What do you really think Fox Business and CNBC and Bloomberg and Squawk Box Asia and I mean, it's 24 hours a day, almost 7 days a week, really, telling you how great they are and acting like they're enriching the lives of everybody. Now, some people have done very, very well. Very well. You have to be smart and creative, right? If you want to do really, really well, right, you got to either be chosen, Bill Gates, right, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, right? We could go on. But I'm just talking about, forget about the one percenters. Let's set those guys aside, okay? For the regular rest of us, you've got to be good enough, smart enough, have enough emotional intelligence to climb the corporate ladder. And you got to get lucky that nothing really bad happened to you or your family during the process. Patriot Radio News Hour. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. You know, that's why I always tell everybody, you know, Jason started it off, you know, talking about savings and what you can use it for. And that's why we kind of tell everybody, you know what, you better have an ounce of gold for every year you've been alive. Better have an ounce of gold for every year your wife's been alive and your kids and all of those things. Why? Because bad stuff happens, right? I got sick. My wife got sick. And I'm talking sick, right? Anybody knows, man, could you imagine I got to spend a week, 2 weeks in a hospital? I don't care what kind of insurance you got, right? You ain't paying that bill.
Yeah, I hear about.
God,
you want to hear about bad stuff, Joe? Bad stuff happening. You want to hear the Vanderbilts? You ever heard of the Vanderbilts, Joe? The big rich family.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
For a very short period, a couple of years, at one time in American history, they became the richest family. They surpassed the Rockefellers. That's how rich they were. And grandfather Vanderbilt, he said, look, all of the inheritance needs to go to one family member that knows how to run the business. And he told this one son, all the other relatives were really angry. Oh, why are you giving it all to him for? So, well, if you all want to keep living the life you're living, you got to have one guy that knows how to run it. And so he gave it to his son. And his son actually expanded it. And that's when they became momentarily richer than the Rockefellers. Joe's saying put it away, right? You better have something put away. The Vanderbilts, in just 2 generations after that son, lost it all. All of it. The son decided he couldn't just give it to one of his children. So he parceled it off to, I think 100 relatives. And none of them were a millionaire in the next generation. These guys were building palaces. They were all building almost castle-like buildings across New York City and across the country. And none of them could afford to upkeep on those buildings. They destroyed all the buildings. All these magnificent buildings they put up, Joe. They had to destroy them because nobody could afford the upkeep of these huge palaces they were building. Well, because they weren't supposed to be building palaces. That's not what Grandfather Vanderbilt did. You know what he did? He was frugal, and he probably put away a whole lot of gold, Joe. That's how he did it.
Right. You know, think about a guy like Warren Buffett, right? Still lives in the same house that him and his wife bought, 50 freaking years ago, right? That's.
Hey, I like spending.
You know,
spending is good, but you got to know what you're doing and make sure you make good choices. Gold is a good choice, Joe.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's a good choice. It always will have value. It's always can be traded in to buy what it is that you need. And again, like I said, you know, bad luck. Unfortunately, you know what? Hey, I got laid off, right? My company went out of business, or maybe you're a small business owner. Gosh, I went bankrupt. You know, I made a mistake, or the economy turned, or something unexpected happened. I had a falling out with my business partner, right? Blah, 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 blah. How many of you know people, I know somebody that lost their homes during the financial crisis? Listen, my friends, you know what? They're hardworking people. They've gotten back on their feet. They don't have any money. Yeah, okay, you know what? Hey, I was able to buy a house again. Goody. Right? But the first 20 years of my 401k, I spent it all trying to save my first house, right? Yeah, so now where are you at? Well, gosh, I'm 50-something and I got no savings.